So it's a pretty short. In this chapter, it talks about the evolutionary importance of animal behavior. Then we're also going to talk about innate versus learned behavior. So innate, you know from birth, learned, you learn later on. We're going to look at the different types of learned behavior, then the behavioral adaptations of solitary and social animals, how behavior can improve survival and reproductive success, and then also living in a group, if it's helping or actually hurting the individuals. Okay, ethology is the study of animal behavior. So what ethologists study is how this behavior is generated, and the ultimate cause is why. Why is the animal displaying this behavior? So here's a sample question. In a study of animal behavior, you try to identify the neurons responsible for a particular behavior. This is of what cause? So you would say proximate, because it's looking at how. So what causes this behavior? Two types of behaviors, the learned and the innate behaviors. Okay, we're going to start with the innate behaviors. Innate behaviors, or instinctive, they do not require experience. They can be performed right after birth. Learning is not involved. And we're going to say that innate and learned behaviors are often combined throughout the life of an individual. And so here's some behaviors, pictures showing them. Spider spinning a web, bird building a nest, caterpillar making a cocoon, dolphin being able to leap. But so these are all instinctive behaviors or innate. So 4 categories of innate behaviors. Know these different types. So on an exam, know if it is an innate behavior or a learned behavior. So we're going to talk about reflexes. Those are innate. Taxis is innate. Fixed action pattern, and the imprinting. Reflexes are done by our neurons, our nervous system. We are not consciously in control of it, but our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system does this. So it's an instantaneous automatic response to a stimulus. And it's our spinal cord that does those reflexes. And then the information goes up to the brain, but it's really the spinal cord that's in charge of these reflexes. Taxis means movement away or toward a stimulus. So it could be that plants growing towards light, or an animal running away from danger. Here's another innate behavior, fixed action pattern. So this is a motor response, meaning it involves movement. It continues to completion even if the stimulus is withdrawn. So here in this example, and this is innate, this example, this first one, a mother geese rolling egg-shaped objects into her nest because she thinks that it's her eggs. So she knows this as an instinct. And here's another one performed by this scientist, Nico Tinberger. What he saw that these male 3-spines sticklebacks, so these fish, they become aggressive if they see fish, other fish, that show this red color in their bellies. So what he did was he put these objects with this red color underneath, and so he saw that the fish were displaying this aggressive behavior towards this object. Even though it's not a real fish, it's just an object, the fish knows to display this aggressive behavior. And so this behavior is to be able to get more female mates. In the sample question, which of the following best describes the fixed action pattern? And so in this one, is it reflex behavior that occurs when an organism is very young, innate behavior that runs to completion, a type of learned behavior found primarily in humans, or a type of innate behavior found only in parent birds and hatchlings? We are going to select B for this. It runs to completion once it's started. And so the fish, it doesn't really understand that it's just an object. It's still going to go and attack that object with the red underside. Okay, one more innate behavior here, imprinting. So this is rapid learning that occurs very early in an animal's life, and without obvious reinforcement, retains memory throughout lifetime. The scientist who first proposed this was called Konrad Lorenz. And so here in this example, hatchlings, so these little ducks or geese, they follow any moving animal or object. So they think that this guy is their mother, and they start following that. But so it is in them, it is ingrained into them to follow their moving animal. And so innate behaviors and genes. And so what this is looking at is the proximate cause. So how? How are these behaviors actually happening? So innate behavior results from genetic components. So here in this example, in these fruit flies, it's called the FRU gene in their DNA, and this is required for proper development of their neurons. And this proper development then allows them to display their behavior. So mutant males, if they have the bad gene, the faulty gene, then they show reduced courtship. And so of course there are many genes that are causing behaviors. But so this is just one example of a gene that relates to behavior. Okay, then the learned behaviors. So know that these are the 4 types. So again, a question could be, which of the following is an innate behavior, which of the following is learned behavior, which of the following is not. Okay, so know these different types. So we have the habituation, classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and observation. In the habituation, animal learns not to respond to a stimulus because it gets used to it. And so here in this picture, the bottom, so first the animal is scared, but the more the animal just sees these objects or other animals, then they get used to it because they haven't been harmed by them. So here, I'm no longer bothered by machines. Classical conditioning. So here, the animal understands that there is a relationship between 2 events. And the animal is conditioned by the pairing of these 2 unrelated things. So the Pavlov's dog salivating, because Pavlov showed the dogs food and then rang the bell. So then the dog started to associate food with the ringing of the bell. So here we're seeing the diagram showing this. So before conditioning, when the dog sees the food, he starts salivating. He rings the bell. So at first there's no response, but now when the scientist shows both the food and rings the bell, then we see the salivation. So here the dog has learned to put together the 2 events and learn from that. Operant conditioning. So here the animal knows negative versus positive consequences. And so we use this, for training our dogs or potty training for kids. So if you give them positive reinforcement, you're more likely to see that behavior. If you give negative reinforcement, you're less likely to see a behavior. Okay, and the 4th type of learned behavior, observational learning. So here the animal watches what others do and then imitates. But yeah, so this could be being able to get food from a source. Here's one example, Japanese snow monkeys washing their food because they have seen other monkeys doing it and then they learn to do it as well.